we know it's actually going to happen and is happening. Should Pat Riley take over as head coach instead of having Eric Spoelstra there?
Absolutely not. And I will take offense for Eric Spoelstra, for all the people that are saying that Pat Riley should take over, because Eric Spoelstra is an exceptional coach. This was a guy that was Pat Riley's protege for the last few years, that Pat Riley basically handpicked and tutored into this position. And, oh, by the way, has done a terrific job in his 2 years on the job. I mean, he took this Miami team, Skip, that is terrible, or that was terrible last year. I mean, they had Dwayne Wade and nobody else. They had Jermaine O'Neal decomposing on the post. They had Quentin Richardson, who was playing for another contract. They had nobody else on that roster. They were shuffling point guards in and out of the lineup. So Eric Spoelstra turned them into one of the top defensive teams in the NBA in the second half of the season. He has the complete confidence of Dwayne Wade, which I think cannot be undersold.
I agree.
This is a guy who at the bare minimum has earned at least 1 year and probably 2 years on that bench to get this thing done.
I agree with every point you made except your largest one. There is no way this team can be coached by that guy. And I really admire that guy, Eric Spoelstra, because you're right. Last year, man, he did some miracles with that team. And Dwayne Wade's heart wasn't in it much of the time last year, and they won a game against Boston the first round. But we're talking about Pat Riley here. We're talking about 5 rings as a coach and 1 ring as a player. We're talking about aura and mystique and star power. We're talking about Phil Jackson to Brian Shaw. Not that, and I think Brian Shaw is going to be an excellent head coach in this league at some point, and Eric Spoelstra's already proven that he can be a very good head coach. But these 3 need the star power to be matched by Pat Riley. Right now, Eric Spoelstra can't command enough respect to juggle the 3 egos the way the coach is going to have to juggle them and the media crush on a daily basis. And any of the little soap opera stories that develop, at some point, Pat needs to take over. And he may have a plan to let Eric have a shot for maybe the whole year, maybe not. Maybe Pat's already sitting back thinking, mid-season, if we struggle a little bit, if the 3 don't click, I'll step in and say, okay, here we go now.
And I think you need, one thing Spoelstra definitely needs is Dwayne Wade to keep the other guys in line. I mean, those guys don't know him from Adam. I mean, they don't know anything about Eric Spoelstra. Dwayne Wade does. And like I said, he has the respect. Dwayne Wade has the respect of Eric Spoelstra. He has to make sure those guys, the other 2 guys, respect him as well. Because you're right, if he loses the superstars, Pat Riley's going to step in. And in many ways, it's kind of be fitting if Pat Riley steps in, because LeBron's the biggest villain already in Cleveland, and Pat Riley stabbing Eric Spoelstra in the back will become a massive villain throughout the league as well.
And if they win, nobody will care.
Exactly. I was saying everybody in Miami will be cheering. Speaking of, are the Heat going to win the title this upcoming season?
Nope, no chance. Look, it's all a fluid situation, because Miami could get 3 or 4 quality role players that could come in and help them the way James Posey helped the Celtics win a couple years ago. But I look at this team right now, and you are desperately hoping that Mario Chalmers becomes the next Rajon Rondo. You are desperately hoping an Eric Dampier or a Jamal McGlure can fill the center position and be that physical inside presence that Kendrick Perkins won. You're desperately hoping one of these 3 second-round picks that they drafted this past June turns out to be a player. I mean, there's a lot of variables right now, but I look at the Eastern Conference, and I think there are far too many teams that are more competitive and better teams right now than Miami. So if you ask me to look at the situation right now, even with the 3 superstars, and even though they're the top 3 players of any team in the league, I still say Miami doesn't win.
It's very interesting to me that the latest MGM Mirage odds favor the Miami Heat to win not just the East, to win the NBA championship. Slight favorites over the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm going with those odds right now. Not to win the NBA championship, because I don't think they're as good as the Lakers. But to win the East, I'll give them the East. Because I just think these 3 will really click. And it's a big deal to me, and some people laugh at me for saying this, that they did win Olympic gold together. They know each other even in practice, just the feel for each other. And I think they'll be a good click. Now, I do need to see what other minimum salary rabbits Pat Riley pulls out of that hat. And they better be pretty good rabbits out of that hat. But I think he can surround them with enough talent. That's some serious star power.
And you may be right, too, because the consensus of people I've talked to is that they will get players you might be surprised they're not going to get. There will be a few, 6th or 7th man type players, like I said, James Posey types. Because remember, Boston got James Posey for a song. I mean, he came in under a very low salary there. I think you're going to have a similar situation where guys are like, wow, I might have a chance to win a title right now. I'll be the 7th man in this team. These guys can't play 48 minutes a night. I'll play for them. I think that could have very well happened.
The key to this is Dwayne Wade. I think you're going to see a revitalized, re-energized re-energize Dwayne Wade, who was pretty good last year but not great. I think you're going to see great. I think you're going to see the best closer in the East. I think you're going to see that he will be the man here, even though they'll all share the load. I think you'll see a 6'9" point guard in LeBron James, who will be very happy and content to defer and set up other people.
You're going to have to see that.
Yep, you are.
Have to see
right.
that.
That's asking a lot out of LeBron at this point. I mean, I think they're going to just sit down, do the ESPN interview in November. You know, they'll be all happy. You know, they'll be, oh, look at us. We're buddies again. Yeah, like the Big Three did a couple of years ago. I think they'll do that. But when you get into, you know, into the dog days of February and March, and then LeBron, and, you know, Kevin Durant and Dwight Howard are creeping right up on LeBron in the MVP vote, and he's not having the same kind of production, and it's still Dwayne Wade's team. I wonder how LeBron reacts then. Okay. Remember, Skip, they're both alpha males. These guys are alpha males. I don't see how they're all going to defer.
One guy just showed you, just told the whole world that he knows himself well enough that he is Prince James. He is Robin, and he needs a ring. And I think he's willing to sacrifice whatever ego MVP award to get the ring, because he's got 2 MVPs already.
It'll be interesting when everybody gets in his ear after a couple losses, perhaps, and maybe starts spouting off. And just to clear up, MGM Mirage right now, Lakers odds to win the 2011 title, 11-5. Heat, 8-5.
8-5.
8-5. Yep.
Favorites.
So we've got a lot more coming up for you here. That's just going to do it for Second Down. LeBron finally made the decision, as you know, last night. In the long term, was Miami the right choice for him, though? So we'll spin it beyond this upcoming season. Skip and Chris will weigh in on that in Third Down. Also straight ahead, Cardinals defensive tackle Darnell Dockett